CMU is a school that is a leader in education. One of our objectives is to be an innovator for all of higher education. CMU is something of an elitist school. We're private, and we are selective in terms of our students, and so we are really training our students to be leaders in all senses of that word.
I like being in a buggy and having people push me around.
I've been doing it since the 20s, and it's the thing to do. You win, you have the bragging rights, you do well, you have trophies.
It's a great combination between technology and physical performance.
It's fun. I like to go fast.
I think the buggy races are an interesting and innovative idea that is in line with the kind of image that we have and aims we have for our students.
A buggy is pretty much a racing vehicle. Not like a racing car, though. It's much different. It's only the length of a body, maybe 5 foot 6 inches, 5 foot 10 inches. A matter of fact, the one that I drove, my feet stuck out of the end. When you drive it, you lay on your stomach or you lay on your back. In the old days, they used to sit up, but they figured that wasn't aerodynamic because you're going for speed. When you steer it, when you're lying on your stomach, you can either steer it with your hands in front of you or you can steer it with your hands behind you, and you pretty much turn it with your shoulders.
In the early days, they didn't have brakes that operated simply because they didn't want the driver to risk losing the momentum on the free roll and therefore lose the race for them. Beginning in about 1956, there was a major design breakthrough. One of the fraternities built a fully streamlined buggy with a fiberglass body that changed the course records radically. From about 6 minutes, we moved down to 4 minutes, and finally 3 minutes, as I recall. Clearly, the whole sweepstakes race became a lot more dangerous.
The average time on the course is about 2.5 minutes. You know, you don't want to get 3 minutes, and no one's ever gotten 2 minutes. The course is about 0.6 miles. The course is pretty much 3 hills divided up into about 5 sections. You have the first section, which is called Hill 1, which is an uphill. That's where you start. You start at the bottom of the hill and you push up about 150 yards, 200 yards. Then another pusher comes at the very top of that hill. That's called Hill 2. That's the Hill 2 pusher. And he pushes as hard as he can down that hill, trying to give the buggy a big head start. But that's where the buggy gains its momentum, on Hill 2. Goes about 45, 50 miles an hour. Then it hits what you call a chute, which is about a 90-degree turn, where the driver really has to concentrate on making that turn without hitting bumps, without hitting potholes, without running into the hay bales which surround the turn. Then there's a pusher on hill number 3, which picks up the buggy because after the chute it goes up a hill. Then he goes on to Hill 4, which is just another uphill. Then Hill 5, which is the very last all out, not really a hill, it's just sort of a straightaway, and that's where you have to give it all you got.
The building starts essentially right after the race is over. You know, you start planning for your next year, and I guess in the fall you start building your buggy for the spring, and you practice it, and you get all your components and whatever. And as far as the pushing goes, you start practicing, I guess, in January, just running indoors and getting in shape. And then I guess in late February you start going outdoors, and in the middle of March you start running on the course, essentially, and just getting times. And it's the weird hours on the weekends, you know, Saturdays and Sundays you waste so many, and then like about 3 or 4 weeks before race day you're out there at midnight, you know, every night getting times, and just quite an involvement. It's not just something, well, we'll do it this weekend. There's months of practice and months of space go into it.
Buggy's very addicting. The
obsessive.
People never stop talking about it. Once they get started, they just keep going. Of course, it gets a lot more hectic around race time, but they're always putting time in.
I've been doing it for the last 10 years, the actual starter of the races. Actually, 9 of the last 10 years. One year they tried to go with an electronic system to utilize some of the technology that the students of this university require, and needless to say, that fell on its faces, so they said, Sanford, you're hired again, and pay is still the same, 0, and I'm back in business being the starter of the races.
First time I ever saw Buggy was in the 8th grade when I was doing the soapbox derby down in Norfolk, Virginia. And I saw it the year after. They had a little newsletter they published. I saw it when I came up here. I was interested in it. My RA was co-chairman in SDC Buggy, and I kind of got involved from there.
The reason I became a driver of a buggy is pretty much twofold. First, I thought it'd be neat, you know, driving down this hill at a fast speed. Second, I pretty much had no choice. I was a freshman, pledge at a fraternity, about 5'6", 5'7", weighed 120 pounds. Smallest guy in the house. They couldn't find a smaller person. I was a candidate.
So, you're from Delta Upsilon?
Yeah!
What's your attitude towards Buggy?
Oh, real good, yeah.
We love it, but we're not competitive yet. You're not competitive yet. Why not? We have too much fun.
We have too much fun out here.
We're a little behind on the technology of the thing. Our push teams are good, but our technology, our buggies can't compete with the good buggies.
About 20 years behind, I'd say.
But our whale's tails are mean, let me tell you.
Where are you going after this?
Breakfast! Yeah,
Pancake kitchen.
Pancake kitchen. And then back to bed.
Why do you do this?
Hey, the bucks. We're in it for the money.
It's actually a lot of fun.
The fame and the glory.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a family feeling.
It's a great excuse for a party.
First of all, many of the students who engage in sweepstakes firmly believe, though there isn't much evidence to substantiate it, that if they come through with a major design, or if they handle the project well for their fraternity, and if they are automotive engineers or mechanical engineers, that this will give them a better chance at a job in the automotive industry. It's not clear to me that many students have gained major jobs as a result of that, but it's one of the beliefs that people who engage in buggy racing have.
In buggy, there are pretty much two different types of participants, even though people don't like to think of it that way. There's the fraternities, and then there's the independents. The independents pretty much consist of CIA, which is very competitive. It's the Carnegie Involvement Association, and they're actually the only independent organization that has won a buggy contest in the past years. There's also SDC, which is Student Dormitory Council. And there's Fringe, of course, which is a bunch of Carnegie Mellon architect students. Within the fraternities, and seeing how there's so many fraternities, 13 of them, there's a lot of different types of buggies. You have the fraternities who get maybe $600, $800, maybe $1,000 a year for their buggy budget. they come out with your basic shell type buggy, no great improvements, even though they like to come out with great improvements. Then you also have the other end of the other extreme. Some frats maybe have up to $10,000 budgets a year, alumni who fell in love with Buggy, who give lots of money. And they come out with the new innovative designs, usually before the other fraternities. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win all the time, because their new innovative designs could be the wrong innovation. Push practices are a whole different part of Buggy. It's at night. They put flashlights in front of the buggy. It starts at about midnight, goes to about 3. It matters. You can start at 1, go to 2, 12, go to 1. They close off the course, no cars. They allow cars to drive by, but there's people there controlling the traffic. That's still kind of weird to see these headlights coming towards you when you're driving down a course, and you're hoping that this guy turns or they move you. Again, that's, practice makes perfect. And for those push practices are pretty much the most important part of getting a good time at Buggy.
The rest of it, however, is the intense competition among fraternities, which at Carnegie Mellon, because they all live in similar houses, don't have many other ways of showing their competition.
Oh, I like competition. I think it's the way the real world is, and I think it adds to the zest of this whole project and stimulates the mind, and we probably get more good ideas as a result of the competition.
So therefore, they all work at acquiring these little secrets and trying to make their particular buggy obviously faster than the next buggy. Their particular buggy more mechanic-wise than the next buggy. So I sense that a lot of it's just the aura of buggies, not necessarily a lot of secretive information going on, because as you talk to students, they know what each buggy is capable of doing. So therefore, I think the secrets are really minimal. But it's just the aura of this secretive thing going on this campus.
Well, I can't really tell you how much we spend, but I think that any time an organization wins and puts out buggies like we do, I think anyone's going to rumor that we have a huge budget.
What did you start out doing?
Oh, unimportant stuff.
Like what?
Like, I can't tell you. But unimportant things until I learn more about what we do.
Why are you so secretive?
Well, why is anyone secretive about anything? I mean, why do companies have proprietary secrets? And why is the government secret about what it has? It's just you don't want to lose your technology or the experience you've gained over the last few years, or something that it's taken you 3 or 4 years to figure out. You don't want to pass that on because it's a competition.
Well, when you're driving really well, and you can tell it, you have a really great feeling coming down the hill. It feels really great. And then when you get around the chute and everything's okay, and you get picked up by your pusher, you just know that you're practically home free. It feels really good.
Today, I think because I was moving so fast, I just turned too late and the buggy slid. I wasn't terrified, I wasn't scared at all. I just was really disappointed. The paramedics asked me if I was okay. I said, yeah. Today they asked me to come out of the buggy, and I didn't want to because I was all right. And they made me come out. They made me walk around. I was just really upset, disappointed.
I think the buggies are very safe. They're safe for a variety of reasons. One, I think the students recognize that speed is important. But I think above speed and beyond speed, they're concerned about the safety of the person driving the buggy, the safety of the other people involved in the buggy races, and the safety of everyone involved. So I think you'll find in most cases, 99.9% of the cases, safety is the paramount issue that students are concerned about. Safety followed closely by speed.
Most people try and get by with the bare minimum safety rules. I did the same thing. I failed my first safety check and I had to go back and redo it. Safety rules are pretty minimal as it is now. It's not that hard to work around them. If, I don't want to set any examples, they're going fast. If any, it's a good thing the hay bales are there. You couldn't run without the hay bales. If something like Kaluga or Lemur or Bullet were to hit a curb head on at the speed they're going without hay bales, the driver would be in pretty bad shape. They are definitely not made to withstand crashes at the speeds they roll, us included. I don't think anybody is.
In order to compete in sweepstakes competition, a buggy has to pass a safety check before it can be rolled out for any practices. All the steering parts, anything that moves has to be double nutted or nylocked, okay? In the past, people would just put one nut in there and the steering would shake and in the middle of free roll, they crash. Okay, so that's one of the requirements. Okay, then there's a front crash protection. That's really important because most buggies, when they crash, they just go nose into the hay bales or nose into a tree or nose into whatever. So the front crash protection is the most important, along with the windshield itself. The windshield itself can't be made of anything that would shatter. 4 years ago, an organization had a hard acetate windshield, and they crashed, and the driver was all right except for all the cuts that she got from the windscreen. So this has to be shatterproof material, and then the crash protection itself has to be able to withstand a crash of about 20 miles per hour and, in a dead stop. So it's got to be pretty beefy. The push bar can be part of the roll protection. Okay, push bars are usually mounted fairly secure, and if they are part of the roll protection, I check for the stiffness of it. All right, the brakes itself, the same thing. All moving parts have to be double nutted. Okay, and I just check the linkage of the brake and make sure that all the parts are in places where they wouldn't get chafed off or blocked or something in the of a free roll accident. And then I go to the inside of the buggy and I check to see where the driver harness is attached. You want to open this up, Bob?
Yeah, you want to check this.
Yeah, I'll do the harness while you open it up. Okay, again, well, like I said about the front end crash, which is the most common, what happens is that the driver, okay, when the nose of the buggy impacts, the driver is forced through the front, just like in a car, okay? And instead of a seatbelt, we use driver harnesses, okay? And the driver harness varies from organization to organization, but it has to be able to stop them from torpedoing out the front of the buggy, and it has to prevent back injury. And then you check to see where it mounts in the buggy itself. Okay, in this case, it mounts all the way back at the base of the push bar on a carabine hook. And it just circles around through the bottom of this loop, and these two loops here come over the driver's shoulder. You wanna see it on her? Sure. Put it on. What's your name?
Tony.
You drive this buggy?
Yeah, this is the one I drove yesterday and raced it.
Okay, and then there's a head covering. Most of the buggies can't fit helmets because of a space limitation, so we require that the driver wear a head covering, and that'll just protect them from scratching their head against any of the metal inside the buggy in an accident. Okay, because there's not necessarily sharp parts, but they're blunt, and this will just minimize like the scrapage and the bruises from that. It just fits over her head like this.
You're nervous as hell when you're driving down this hill 2 inches above the ground. You can only see maybe, put your hands like this. You can see in a direction 20 degrees at the most. You can only see maybe 2 feet above you. You have no idea. All you can see is the curb and you can see the road. That's it. You're steering. It's the first time you ever steered something sideways on your stomach. And you go fast. Even though they didn't give you that initial push-off, you're going fast. And when you get to that chute, you're always tempted to use the brakes. They make you put brakes on those buggies. But you don't want to either, because, that's a cop-out. Then the second time's a little better. Third time's better. It gets a little more interesting. Then you have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. A couple times they came into my room and carried me to the course, because I just, it's hard. It's a lot of time. My grade point average went down like 25% that semester. But it was fun.
Driving is Patty Carlisle for Vixen, and driving for Godzilla is Carol Evans. As I said yesterday, Godzilla posted a time of 2:14.27. Got Godzilla. It's about 2 buggy lengths coming up on the inside though of Beta. We passed the Panther Hollow Bridge. Vixen is still about 2 buggy lengths ahead. We're really cooking now, coming past Phipps Conservatory on our approach to the monument. Coming into the chute, the buggy's gone on it. Coming into the chute, Godzilla is spinning, wavering left to right, almost spun out, but very good driving there by Carol Evans. Did a fine job. Vixen is still in the lead, and the driver's not going to pick it up until about 5 or 6 windows. Had a 53-second free roll on Vixen. And coming into the 3-4 exchange now, Rob Kukowski picking the buggy up for Beta, and Bob Marcoux picking up the Pica. Rob Kukowski opens it up a little here, and they've got about a 5 to 6 buggy length lead on Godzilla. These 2 guys are really humping. Coming uphill for us, we said the time to beat today is 2:10.22. It's going to be a good finish. We've only got about a 2 buggy length lead here, and we're going to take it up the finish line.
Okay, it's the finish line. It's going to be a real close finish here. We have Beta is about 2 lengths ahead of Pica. Pica's trying to catch up. Dan Preston pushes Vixen. Right now, across Beta here with an unofficial time of about 2:16 unofficially.
You've got Mach 1 in the lead. Yesterday, Mach 1 posting a time of 2:10.85. The time to beat yesterday was 2:10.22. This is trying to beat 6 maneuvers. If any team's going to do it, it's been predicted that this team would. Now as they're in front of the conservatory, they're approaching the monument. We've got Audrey Greenfield driving Mach 1 for Pike, and she's now picking her line as she approaches the chute. Coming through the chute. She's coming through the chute. She has a little bit of weight, but she comes through fine. Push bar pops up, and she's now approaching the Hill 3 pickup, where Steve Machernis for Piker will pick it up. He picks it up. It looks to be after about 5 or 6 windows. Steve Machernis is for Piker is now. It looks like size.
And here comes Mach 1, the black buggy with Audrey Greenfield driving, Wayne Howard pushing. They're going, they might even break the record here. They're very close. Mach 1 comes crashing out. She waits for last bus. Here comes Black Magic.
We have the official results in first place, Pi Kappa Alpha A, Mach 1 with a time of 2:09.50. In second place, Sigma News A Buggy Lemur with a time of 2:09.96. And in third place, Beta Theta Pi A Vixen with a time of 2:15.01.